Hello there. My name is Sanav.
And my name is Aryan.
Yeah. We're here because we both are passionate about fitness, about the brain, about understanding the human body and mind. And through these two perspectives, we're just trying to bring together our thoughts and share it with the rest of the world because
We're
we're
gonna
just
be
passionate.
yeah, we're gonna be as natural as possible, and we're also two high school students who've kind of been through a lot, like the ups and downs. And we've been together for like
14
14
years,
plus
yeah.
years. We know a lot about each other and about how the world works, apparently. So
And it feels good to
let's
be
get
doing
into
it
it.
with you, bro.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So,
The thing is, we
yeah,
tons of unrecorded, unfiltered sessions of like calls and things that we've done like over over calls and on Discord and other platforms. We've kind of discussed our entire lives with each other, and we know the ins and outs. And it's so funny that both of us are like two completely different people, but we come together so well, and we've kind of bonded over a lot of this stuff, so it's cool. Yeah.
yeah. So in this channel, what we would try to cover is talking about fitness because both of us have had our unique fitness journey, to say the least. Uh, like in terms of fitness, where did it start? Aryan, where did it start for you?
So actually, I from a young age, I was actually a really good runner, and I liked running.
Yeah,
um I enjoyed the athletic spirit and everything to do with that. But later on in life, I mean, I'm not very old, but it started getting a bit competitive. And to be honest, I don't like. I'm not a fan of competitiveness, which is a skill I need to still hone on. But after a while, I kind of lost that edge, or that spirit to go for the athletic thing. I used to be a long jumper and a sprinter, and I'd given up on it after COVID, that 2 year break, no exercise, nothing. And this interesting thing came up because of Sunak. Um, he introduced me to the gym, okay, and it's a whole new side of things. Like the like it's something you don't understand, the different dimensions, like music, something that's so different. The community, people are so supporting. It doesn't matter in what level you are, people are so supporting. And you learn so much. So I think I started I got intrigued by gymming, or like fitness in general, at around 3 years ago is when I got introduced to it. But I started taking it seriously a year ago, and I've been consistent for a few months now. So
yeah,
yeah, that's how it's been. How about
yeah.
you, Sanaf?
When I'd say where my fitness journey really started was not very recently. It was actually in the fifth grade where I broke my leg. And until then, I was, I'd say, relatively fit. I wasn't fat or anything. I was relatively fit. And then when I broke my leg while playing football, I uh, I just started binge eating. I got fat. I got really fat, and I got pretty fat. And I
Signing
what?
your leg, like you want to signing your leg. That was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, same.
Um. Yeah. I was saying that when I fractured my leg. I got pretty fat, and I continued getting fat until around, I'd say around eighth grade, where I decided to change my physique. And it first started with just cardio and a lot of badminton as the main form of cardio for me, and just controlling what I was eating. And the reason for that was that I just wasn't into the gym. I was like, that seems like a very intimidating world. But then later on, during the pandemic, I got really interested in building my physique to the level which I saw on social media. And I think that is one side of social media which can help you get inspired. But of course, it has its dark side. But after that, I started losing weight. I started gaining muscle, and I since then I've just been in love with uh, improving my physique every day, bit by bit. And yeah, it's been around almost, I'd say, a year now, or a little more than a year, maybe a year and a month or so. And I've just loved every part of it, from the dieting to the gymming to making friends to like everything. Yeah. The next
You
part
know,
of yeah,
I just want to make a connection here. I feel like we're here to talk about the body and the mind, right? And from this, the whole journey that both of us have had with fitness and with the community and our friends, we've kind of also had a development in our mental state
yeah,
and our mindset and discipline and everything to do with consistency. Would you like to talk a bit on that, like in your
yeah.
life?
I'd say I'd say the gym or fitness as a whole is not just about your body. It's so much more about that. It's so much more than just that. It's so much about like growing yourself as a person and becoming the best version of yourself, which obviously directly correlates to the mind. So yeah, so I think a few things that I have learned from the gym is firstly consistency. I say that's probably the most important thing because I don't know where I've heard this quote, but it's like you would build a better body working out 20 minutes every day for 5 months than doing a 9 hour workout for 2 days. So, and that just proves uh, that consistency is key, and it is no matter what, it's like the key ingredient in solving or in overcoming any challenge or obstacle. In this case, it was the obstacle of a bad physique or a poor physique with poor fitness levels and poor strength, poor anything, right? So I'd say the first thing the gym taught me was consistency. Yeah, Aryan, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I mean, consistency was is something that I've I kind of wasn't expecting to be a skill that I would take forward, like, and I would put so much importance to it because the thing is, as a high school student, you don't realize that a lot of the free time that you have, you're not spending it wisely or
Yeah,
thinking about the, and that's why consistency with things that you need to work towards, like let's say just a simple thing like doing your homework every day and doing studying every day for each subject for like 10 minutes. It's only 10 minutes a day, right?
right.
And it might not make a difference now, but if you're consistent with it for each day for 10 minutes every single time, it keeps adding up.
Yeah,
And that's that consistency is kind of made me understand like how the world works, and it's also another skill that I can use way past my age right now.
yeah.
And
I think
I yeah.
Yeah, and I think consistency, like it definitely compounds because you need momentum to actually be able to do anything. Like if you have a small ball, just like imagine you're on the top of a hill and you roll down a rock, right? If it was just rolling down like a little bit, like if it rolled down like a bit and then it stopped, right? It wouldn't have the same momentum to keep going down the rest of the hill, right? So I think that's what consistency provides you with. And it's just, I feel like without consistency as the foundation of any like self-development or improvement, I don't think anything can work out. And forget even self-development, like even for I'd say bad habits, right? You don't really see the uh, excuse me, the bad results until you've done it consistently, right? Like say, for example, one, I guess, one puff of a cigarette, right, is not necessarily the worst thing. But if you consistently take one puff every week, every day, that's when it becomes a problem, right? And I think that's why consistency is so important. Yeah,
Yeah. And just for a second, I would like everyone to kind of forget about the definition we've given you of consistency
mm,
and about it, um through your own body and through your own processes and everything that you've gone through. Because consistency, to be honest, both of us have a completely different definition of consistency. Because some of us can't handle long amounts of, like, a lot of time, spending doing some things, and there are a lot of ways to minimize the getting, like, that aspect of it. There are many videos online. But I'd say the easiest way for you to become productive, with regard to body and mind, is finding your own definition of consistency. And as well, we're also going to get into it, but discipline as well. And something that helped me a lot for getting my own definition is a book called Atomic Habits.
Mm.
You might not have heard it, but Sunav recommended it to me, actually. Great book, and it shows you different ways of how people have been consistent. One example of that is the 1% theory, or whatever the name is. But basically, what it suggests is, if you work, you don't have to set goals for yourself. It's the process that matters, right?
Right.
So goals are always long term, and you don't focus on the now. So whatever you're doing, think about it percentage wise, right? Let's say you do 1% each day. It can be the smallest thing, okay? You do 1% of, let's say you make the bed each day. That's 1% of you being productive, okay? You make the bed each day. Small sacrifice, 5 minutes goes out of your day. You do that every single day, right? You add one more thing the next week. Let's say after you go and you pack up everything and clean your room, okay? You do that, another set of weeks goes by the end, you'll become a way more productive version of yourself without sacrificing anything, because over time you've built that capacity. And that's an example. You find the definition in yourself, is what I'm saying. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know also, discipline is the next point that I'd like to bring. These 2 points are like they're the only things that we hear as gym bros or whatever, from online. And it's a lot to take in, but that's why we're asking you to think about it yourself. So
Yeah.
discipline is about not only speaking or like hearing, but to listen, and to understand what's going on around you without being an a nuisance or an interruption, and something that's, yeah, a distraction. I like discipline to me is someone is to me, I feel like someone who's disciplined is someone who knows when they cross a line, is someone who knows when something is right and when something is wrong, and can make that boundary before they make an action, which could
Mm.
possibly consequences, right? So
Yeah.
discipline is about being stoic, and this is not sexist, but I would like to also say manly. It's something that's come up a lot, and I want to talk about that, like, in future episodes. But yeah, that's what discipline is to me. What about you, Sanof?
Yeah. I think to me, I've heard this on the on YouTube a lot, and I think I it really resonates with me. When you talk about discipline, I think discipline is actually the ability to do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it, right? Because everyone can do the hard work when they feel like it. If you want to do the hard work, you'll do it, right? But you need discipline and not motivation when you don't feel like doing something. If I don't feel like going to the gym today, but I have discipline, I will go either way. Even if I don't feel like going. And I think that applies to so much more than just the gym. Let's say I need to even say cook for myself to fix my to maintain a balanced diet. I don't feel like cooking, say, eggs, right? Scrambled eggs. I mean, it's not the most exciting thing, but I will do it either way. And I think that's something which a lot of people can learn from. And I think talking about discipline and consistency, I would like to bring up the next point, being progressive overload. So, for those of you who haven't heard of progressive overload, it's known for its application specifically in the gym and in fitness, which is pretty much what it sounds like, right? You have a you want to progress in the gym in terms of strength, in terms of muscle growth, in terms of uh, stamina, maybe, right? Anything, whatever you want to improve or progress towards, right? You can't wake up one day doing 1 kg curls, bicep curls, and wake up the next day doing 25 kg bicep curls, right? It doesn't work like that. So what does happen is, today I will do a 1 kg curl. Tomorrow I'll do 2 reps of 1 kgs. Then next week I'll do 2 kgs, 5 reps. The week after that, I'll do 5 kgs. Or actually, that's a big jump, right? So maybe I'll do 3 kgs. So basically, you take it step by step just to build up to a final goal instead of just directly jumping. So I think that's extremely important in anything, because you can't, if I'm making, say, $0 in income right now, which I am because I'm a high schooler. I mean, not that that's an excuse, but let's say I want to become a millionaire. I can't do that by tomorrow. I can't do that today just by doing whatever a millionaire does in their day, right? I have to build it up step by step, and I have to first earn $1, then I have to earn $2, then $5, 10, 15, 20,000, 10,000, 100,000, 500,000, 750,000, and then slowly build up to 1 million. And I think that's one thing which can only happen. Now, bringing it back to the point about consistency, that's one thing that can only happen if you are consistent and if you consistently progressively overload, right? And progressively improve yourself. And yeah, that's my point about progressive overload.
And I think both of us have been through this situation where sometimes, there are things known as ego lifting
Mm,
and things to boost your own kind of self-confidence with people around you. And what we tend to do, ego lifting basically means um, doing something that is might be out of your
limit.
ability, or
Yeah.
might be past your capacity of strength to impress other people, and
Mm,
hence the ego coming in. Um, with progressive overload in mind, remember that to make a huge difference, the only way to do it is through small steps. And you can lie to yourself and say that, oh, I can do, actually no, there's not even a lie. You can say, fine, let's say you can do 10 pull-ups, okay, on your first day. You think the next week you'll be able to do 20 pull-ups, then the next week you'll be able to do 30 pull-ups, and like that you say, oh, I'll keep going, and by the 10th week you'll do 100 pull-ups. To be fair, that's unrealistic. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's unrealistic because you are putting yourself, and you're restricting yourself actually, because the amount of effort you put in, it takes a long time to actually build yourself on it, and it becomes unrealistic when you put goals that aren't necessarily achievable. I saw this thing on another podcast where someone said that their limit for doing pull-ups is 15, and every day they repeated 15 pull-ups, um, to a point where they're like, okay, I feel confident doing 20, right? um, by the end of the first day, when they did 20, they could easily do it, right? But they felt so tired that they couldn't go to the gym the next day. And the reason for that is because you work hard in doing that one thing, and you get there, but you forget that jump is so much that the next day you're useless. You're completely useless because you already spent your entire energy on one thing.
Yeah.
Instead
So
of that, be consistent. Small jumps, like
yeah.
it's
So I
small
think the
steps.
point that you're trying to make, which I completely agree with, is the fact that progressive overload needs to happen in a very, I guess, orderly and correct manner. Like, you can't just progressively overload like randomly, right? You have to know what you're doing to progress, right? And you have to progressively overload in a very calculated way as well. You can't, again, as you
Right.
said, be doing 15 push-ups or pull-ups on one day and then 20 on the next. And even if you've done 15 for a while, you still need to calculate how many more you can do, right? So, yeah, so I think this brings me to the next point, which is about reaching failure, right? So in the gym, another point which we've heard a lot about is uh, reaching
Experience.
muscular or systematic failure, right? Like, and this is not a bad thing at all by any means. In fact, it's the reason for muscle growth, right? You only Your muscles grow by I guess, the breaking down of the muscle fibers and the forming of the new ones. And the muscle fibers, the old ones, can only break down if you reach somewhere close to failure. The closer you reach to failure, the more they break, right? And of course, this has to be done in a safe way,
Yeah.
etc., etc. But the point I'm trying to make is that reaching failure is so important because it essentially just means push yourself and just go for the like maximum intensity that you can go for. Because without that, you can't push your limits further than they exist today, right? And unless you reach failure today, you can't progressively overload beyond that failure tomorrow, right? So I think everything ties in so well together. It's actually really beautiful. We started talking about consistency, discipline, um, progressive overload, and now failure, right? And so you need discipline to be consistent, and you need to be consistent in order to do progressive overload or to perform progressive overload. And when you perform progressive overload, your failure or your limit of failure, right, it increases often, right? So
Yeah.
Aryan, do you have anything to add on?
Yeah, I mean, like something that we all have, we've all, if you've been in the gym for a while, you know that sometimes you have sets where at the end it says you need to achieve failure
Mm,
if you create routine for yourself. And the beautiful thing about that is you can't put a number to failure. It's something
it's a
to
feeling.
kind of, it's the feeling, right? Once you keep going and you're at that last one and that feeling of pushing or whatever you're doing, you get that done, right? And that's your limit. The best thing about it is your limit, and you know how much progress you've made. And that's why failure is such a beautiful thing, because
Yeah.
when you hear what, you're like, oh, I mean, I failed at something. And that's not the case in fitness. It's showing you where you stand, and also showing you the amount of progress you've made. And
Mm,
that, again, like I said, it ties back to everything, because ultimately fitness and everything that you're doing, there's the health aspect, but you mainly do all these things for progress.
mm,
Yeah. And I just thought that was a point to add on failure.
for sure. I think one final learning which I'd like to bring out from the gym or from fitness as a whole is the need of recovery and rest, right? Again, as I said, um, the process of muscle growth is you break down muscle fibers and then they have to rebuild, right? In order for them to rebuild, you need to provide them with the nutrition, the rest, the sleep that they need, right? And I feel this applies to so many places other than just the gym. Let's say I am preparing for an exam in school, right? I have studied for let's say now applying the past principles, right? I've learned that I have to be disciplined, consistent, I have to progressively overload, and I also have to reach failure and push myself, right? Once I do all of these things in terms of, say, studying for the exam, and once I've studied to my limit and I've improved, and you can see a chart of me, uh, of my result, not only my results, but also my effort increasing, right? After that point, after a certain point, or actually, I think in a regular interval, you need to also take rest in order for your brain and body and yourself to just recover and get back to a state where you can push yourself again, right? And this again links back to reaching failure, because you can't reach failure and then reach failure immediately after reaching failure, right? You have to reach failure, recover, and then reach failure again. So I think uh, that's one point I had about that. Would you like to add on, Arya?
Yeah, so tying this all back up, I would like to say that it's it's all application. It's not only to do with physics. I mean, not only to do with everything. It's like the fitness aspect, everything. It's it can all these concepts can be applied in different factors in your life. Different points, like in academics.
Mm,
Using progressive load to do things like study this amount each day, or study a level harder each week. It's something that kind of helps you throughout the journey in your life, and not only your journey in fitness.
yeah,
And really important values I think everyone should learn. And that's what this podcast is here to talk about, our journey, everything that we've been through, everything that you guys can also go through, everything that you've been through as well. And it's kind of how two teenagers talking about life.
yeah.
It's something that's
Yeah, and I just
strange
want to
but
add
comes.
on, like
Yeah,
we are just at the end of the day, we're just two teenagers, right, Aryan? Like we're not like experts who've experienced life, and we're not we're not bodybuilders, professional bodybuilders. We're just two, I guess, really passionate people. We love like what we're experiencing right now. We're just trying to be here and document our journey and share as much of it as we can with everyone, because
yeah,
I think at the end of the day, right, like if I mean, the best part about the internet is that we can share like our experiences, and other people can share their experiences with us. And that's the way like all of us can grow together, which is, I think,
yeah,
another reason why we're doing this podcast. And moving on, and in the near future, what we plan to do is we plan to call experts or people who can actually bring a lot more experience to our podcast and a lot more credibility to and I'm being authentic and transparent here, like to of course grow our podcast and help reach out to more people, right? Because we really want that. And the biggest bonus for us is that this podcast is a means for us to, first of all, talk, second of all, share an audience, and third of all, invite more people to discuss, debate, uh, and just think about these principles, ideas, thoughts that we share. And I mean, I truly do love like what the conversation we just had right now, because
yeah,
I mean, just my takeaways from this was like there are like just four or five simple principles, but those create like so much more than just a good physique, uh, a good mind, a healthy mind. It also creates like if you're just consistent with those things, I don't know like where you can mess up, right? So yeah,
yeah. And my takeaways are, it's what you said, but um I just like to say that I've been through uh tough times. As a teenager, I don't know, I think it's like normal for everyone to have gone through some sort of phase of like anxiety. And actually putting your mind, having a growth mindset and using these and applying them is more than you can ever imagine, for me especially. So yeah, I mean, that's what we're here to talk about, right?
yeah,
Level up.
yeah. So we'll see you guys on the next episode of Level Up. I feel like a cringe YouTuber doing this. Like, I mean, yeah, nice.
Yeah, right.
See you.